Shamps and giggles. History, news, views, and reviews from a black perspective. Shamps and giggles back for 2024. Oh my lord.
It's just amazing. What a week. The week literally flew by. I woke up this morning, I was like, I don't remember how I realized it was Friday. But I thought it was Thursday. The week went so quick. Just like, boom, it's gone, it's finished. But it's a good thing to be busy. It's nice. Big up all crew, Spice, Leisha, D, two D's, you know, D-A-D, D-G, T. Teresa's in the building. Big up. Pinky in there. Lord of mercy. We have got so much to talk about, Denise, Color Queen, and Cassandra. We have got so much to talk about. It's quite interesting, bearing in mind that, of course, who we are, history, news, views, and reviews from a black perspective. Big up, Patricia Daya. Look like she's studying something. So much to talk about, and it's quite interesting. Remembrance Day was just gone. I think it was the 11th armistice, and they had a minute's silence. Coco Gauff, an amazing tennis performance, absolutely phenomenal. But of course, before we go into the tartar things and so on and so forth, we have to get the update from Keith. What's going on in the banter news? What's been happening?
Well, the little banter that I had before, it was we were talking about Donald Trump getting in, and I was just explaining to our members that I was in total shock, but the worst part was when I was informed earlier in our discussion management board meeting that you believe that Elon Musk will get a position. And I said, no way on earth would he get a position under Donald Trump. It's just a money thing. Lo and behold, 2 days after we spoke, bang, breaking news, Elon Musk gets a job under Trump. He's appointed him. And I was absolutely gobsmacked.
As what? He's in the White House. As what?
He's got an efficiency title. He's going to be an assistant to some other gentleman. They're sharing some role, but he's to do with efficiency, streamlining, and also cutting bureaucracy and red tape, and getting through to the nooks and crannies of the thing.
Well, do you know what? Let's be from a business perspective. Yeah.
Yes.
Elon Musk, when he took over Twitter, he cut 70%. He put more than half the staff. He fired them.
Yes.
And Twitter's gone on to be quite profitable for him. Twitter, now known as X. When he launched his rockets into space, he did that more cost effectively than NASA, which is the US government.
Wow.
So if you just look at on a business perspective, here's a man who can cut costs and do a more efficient job, and he's proven it well on multiple platforms.
Yeah.
So
and
that's
why I was in shock.
Huh?
That's why I was in shock.
Was you in shock in favor of him or in?
No, I was in shock that he got a position, not being a political man, and yet still, Donald Trump, one of the first appointments, he appoints Elon Musk in a position.
Well, you add to the point, Elon Musk, 150 million he spent out of his pocket to help get Donald elected. In literally paying people $1 million if they're registered to vote as a Trump thing, almost like a lottery, isn't it? He made it into a lottery. If you register to vote, I'll pick your name and you'll get $1 million if you're registered to vote under Donald Trump. And obviously, who cares? I mean, a lot of people who couldn't give a hoot about voting signed up just like it was a lottery. Okay, well, £1 million up for grab. I'll sign.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's Elon Musk says he's rolling Trump's efficiency department. He's going to revolutionize it. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and so there'll be a few people that'll be fired.
Yeah.
You know, he's done it before, and that's what he does. He fires people. Alicia, you got your hand up.
Yeah, it says that quote from Trump. It says Musk will head the efficiency department within the former GOP presidential candidate Vivek. I can't pronounce his surname. The roles are designed to eliminate trillions of dollars in waste and fraud within the federal government. Importantly, we will drive at the massive waste and fraud which exists throughout our annual $6.5 trillion of government spending.
Jeez.
Right. And the thing about it, we know there's waste, we know there's fraud, we know there's corruption, right? In the government, because there always is. Every government. I mean, Boris, I mean, I wouldn't surprise me. Who's the one before Boris? Cameron? Who's the one before Cameron? Even forgot about that. Clegg. It was Clegg and Cameron coalition, wasn't it? And then even before there, Blair. Look at Blair. I mean,
Yeah. Blair.
you know,
Yeah.
I was reading the book, and from decades ago, they were talking about corruption in politics. So we know all these things are there. So Elon Musk, it is, you know, he's talking about slashing 75%
Mm.
of federal workforce.
Jeez.
75%. And of course, when he took over, look, he's had recent experience with this kind of efficiency when he fired 6,000 people at Twitter after buying the company in 2022. Yeah. You know, and at that time they said it wiped 80% from its value, but apparently its value is way back up there now. So I don't know. I mean, could they become the dynamic duo?
Well, I'm just shocked, and I think there's worse to come once January comes and he's inaugurated, and they get together and do what they've got to do. I think that there's going to be a lot of cuts going through, because why give him a position of efficiency department?
So he can fire who he wants. That is designed to fire people, isn't it? It's gonna. So he'll be calling people into the office. Well, what do you do, and how are you making the government more efficient? If they haven't got a good enough answer, you're fired.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's ruthless like that. He will do it. So, wow, yeah. So as you rightly said, for those people, worse is yet to come. Cassandra, Cass, and Mark, the two of them is there. So go and talk the things. I don't know which one, but let's see. Your hand is up.
Evening.
It's Mark.
Mark, hold tight.
Evening, everybody.
What was your thoughts? Musk being Trump's right-hand man.
Yeah, just catching the last, you know, this piece of conversation. And I was just picking up on, I think, what Keith was saying there about government, the size of government. And the question is, how big should government be? Because my thing is, isn't it better to be smaller? The whole heap of departments, three-letter acronyms that they have in a lot of these countries, the US here as well, is to me baggage.
Right.
You already struggle to, have public services that are efficient, that do what they say on the tin, right?
But hasn't government become as big as it is because of the needs of people have become bigger and bigger? So they put this task force, or that task force, or this or that, just to accommodate what's happening over time. So I mean, how big? I
think a lot of these departments are excess. There's surplus to requirements. How many services do we actually need? Should government be in charge of? The claim from Thatcher's era is, oh, we need to privatize government because it's going to make it more efficient. And my thing is, well, if government is efficient in the first place, what do you need to privatize everything for? Do you need to privatize public services? Do you need to privatize health services? Or do you just need to get the right kinds of people in there who know what they're doing to run the service? How many managers do you need in the post office?
Well, this is a valid point. A valid point. Leisha's got her hands up. But you know, the word efficiency, you know, when Hussein Bolt was running 9.8, they were still striving for efficiency and trimmed it down to 9.5. I mean, at one point, he must have said, look, me now do it again, me stop. Leisha, your hand is up. Efficiency in government. How big should government be, Leisha?
Yeah, but they've already trimmed down a lot in the
US.
authorities, and also some of the public services as well. And I
In
think
this country or the US?
well, in the UK, let's look
Oh,
at
the
UK.
UK.
Yeah,
Okay.
UK. They trimmed down a lot of
Right.
thing, and they've removed a lot of the buildings as well. So if you notice that some of our civic centres are now becoming flats, apartments in London. Yeah, because a lot of people are now working from home, or they're working remotely, or they're
It's the migrants, isn't it?
huh?
It's the migrants. They need to house the migrants.
No, this need more. I mean, that the house that they're building now. If you're in London, Hammersmith, for example, they got rid of the Civic Centre in Hammersmith,
Mm-hmm.
replaced them with £500,000 flats at a
Yeah.
minimum. It costs £500,000. So they're not being used for public services. They've been sold to the developers, and the government has made money. So that's the way how they've.
Did the government make money?
Huh?
The government made money from all those properties, or were
They
there
made
some
money
sort of
from selling the land.
backhanders done?
Now they made money from selling the land, but the land isn't worth as much as the properties that are built on it.
There you are. And also, the land is lost forever. Look what Maggie Thatcher did with the right to buy, sold them all off, right? And now that they're all gone, they didn't rebuild with the money they was getting back from the properties. And now there's social housing crisis, and who's to blame? I mean, this is a continual cycle, isn't it? Okay, is Cass coming in now? We should have a different color hand for Cass.
No, it's the same hand. You know what? I just want to pick up on that last point there.
When Cass is talking, she should put up a smile then or something. You know.
Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah. You know, I think there's a difference between the numbers of people that work in government and the costs. A lot of the stuff what they're doing, which is scaling back, is to reduce costs. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the department or the government is more efficient. Now, some of these services are protected, right? So military is protected, right? But what have they been doing with military in terms of spending? Supporting all and sundry, or rather certain nations are having billions spent on them, right? But scrap all the others. So it becomes a question of morality. Why support this conflict or issue and not support the other one? If what you say in terms of morality and peace and all the rest of it is really the facts, you know what I mean? So I think there is something to be said about how government actually functions and what it actually costs, and not just what they say and what they say to justify certain things. There's a difference. You know what I mean? Selling off certain buildings.
I hear that.
Yeah.
But you know, you mentioned the military to fund or not to fund a war campaign wherever else on the planet, and it becomes a morality issue. I mean, we've seen how that ends up. We've seen how that ends up, haven't we? I mean, we know where the money's going to go. That's you, Mark. We know where the money's going to go. You said military.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it'll go to Ukraine. It's not going to go to Afghanistan.
Yeah, exactly. Now, how that money could be spent on that whole thing about what we say about taking care of your business at home, whatever that's saying.
It could be spent feeding people and housing people.
Yeah, but they want to plead poverty and say they ain't got this and they ain't got that. But there's billions going to these other things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which, when we really look into it, is to service particular groups of people and particular ideologies and that kind of stuff. So it's not for want of, that they haven't got money, or rather they haven't got our money that they're spending. And so when we really think about what the function of government is an administrator, because the money that they're spending isn't their money, it's our money. That's the reality of it.
Value point. What do you think of that, Keith?
I hear what Mark said, and Miss Leisha. I think it's true in a sense, especially with America and Donald Trump being voted in to become the next president in January. I do think that this efficiency section that Elon Musk might be taking, it probably will be done in will have something to do with the amount of money they spend on giving away to outside conflicts. I think that he will cut the money going over to Ukraine, and I think that they will cut all of those ties, or it'll be very minimal, especially ammunition and planes and weapons. That won't be going across from America. It'll be very, very limited.
You know, you mentioned Ukraine. If they cut the help for Ukraine, doesn't that then empower Putin?
Yes, it will. Yeah, and it will empower it. And I think I got a feeling what will happen is that Donald Trump might even go and try and speak to Putin, because he's never had a fallout with Putin. He's never said that I don't like Putin. He's never said that. He didn't have the chance to say it. So I got a feeling that he will try and have a meeting with Putin and maybe say to him, listen, the 3 or 4 or 5 sections that you've occupied, you have them. President Zelensky, you keep what you got, and let's try and be amicable about the rest. And you don't cross over the next borders. But Ukraine don't want that. Ukraine want their country back. They want all their land back. But it ain't going to happen. And I got a feeling that Trump is going to try and say that he's the miracle worker, and try and sort that out by saying to Ukraine, you're not getting any cent more from us.
But you know what? Consider this: Trump could say that, suggest it, or whatever, and then enforce it through public opinion from Elon Musk pushing that through on Twitter. So he could actually say that and even potentially get his way.
Who's got that on? Yeah, carry on.
No, potentially get his way. Leisha's got a hand up. Who's got what on? I can't see it, but
someone forgot their mic and their manners.
Go on, Leisha.
Sorry, listeners. Sorry, radio listeners, for that.
I didn't hear nothing, so I don't know. Leisha, don't repeat it, whatever it was. I don't know what it was.
Carry on.
I mean, so Musk can push forward Trump's agendas through Twitter, being the mouthpiece to get people on side, because that's what helped win the election. Leisha. So I mean, that could be a dynamic duo there. That could be a team play. I mean, you got the owner of Twitter, X. You got the owner of X that has 200 million users, and users across the planet. Obviously, they'll get more users now. Come on, talk about mind manipulation. This is crazy. Leave your hands up, start the things.
Yeah, social media is very, very powerful. Twitter at one point wasn't doing very well. Everybody said that, why has Musk bought Twitter? Because it's actually, they say it wasn't worth anything, but the thing is that it's got people's information, and also its influence. You've got a lot of people on that platform. So obviously he showed how he can influence people through that platform and get them to do things that he wanted to. And Trump was removed from one of the platforms. I can't remember which platform it was.
Twitter. They blocked the account at some point.
It was Twitter.
Twitter, wasn't they? Blocked him from Twitter.
Yeah.
He went back on there, and obviously Elon Musk, it was Twitter, then Elon Musk took over. Now he's back on Twitter, on X. And that's how they've pushed that was the strongest platform to push out your agenda, and your political agenda was on that platform.
Yeah.
The richest man in the world. So, and it's free marketing just by twittering something.
Right.
Get the world.
I'm just going to jump in. What you said about Elon Musk and Trump being suspended off of Twitter at the time, when Elon Musk took over, within a week of him changing it to X, he put back Donald Trump. He gave him back his rights.
Yeah.
1 week after he bought it.
And he has been rewarded with a position in the White House.
That's what I'm shocked about. I'm sorry to bring up the American side. I didn't want to bring that up in banter, but I was absolutely gobsmacked when the breaking news popped up on my phone. Elon Musk gets a job. I thought, what?
Efficiency advice, what do you call it?
It was all part of the agenda, Keith. It was all part of the agenda.
Shocked. I'm
That
shocked
makes-
that he won. I'm shocked that he won, to tell you the truth. I am shocked that he won.
We go 2022. So we go back to what potentially was the reason for buying X. It might be in a bigger, much bigger.
Oh, true.
We can control
What people want to vote. Yeah, who votes for who?
mass control. Is George, you trying to put your hand up or you just squinting? What's going on?
Mark's got his hand up, I think.
Yeah, but George, he has to do like that. Good.
Yeah. Do you know that new government position they've given him? The initials of it are DOGE, Doge, and apparently he's got a Bitcoin that he's got plenty of. That they reckon now the market value of that will now rocket because it's called Dogecoin or something like that, and it's the Department of Government Efficiency, but it's got the same initials as this Bitcoin thing.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
You can see the play already. Come on now, you can see what they're up to. You can see, and that's money on. So Bitcoin's already skyrocketing.
The
The
thing
US
is, look,
dollar's very strong right now, so you can see the play, the move that they're making, and they're gonna raid. Just gonna raid the coffers. Mark, your hand is up.
Jeez.
Sandra.
So,
When I put up the smile,
Dogecoin.
it disappears.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
Try again.
So I have to put up the hand, I'm afraid.
Try
So
again.
a couple of things.
Yeah.
I firstly wanted to say that Ukraine never really wanted to go to war. That was NATO and the US and the UK pushing for that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that wasn't even about Zelensky. Zelensky hasn't got a clue what he's doing. He's not the force behind any of this.
He's a comedian, by the way. Prior to
Yeah, that's what he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I wanted to say. And then I wanted to, I'm kind of asking a question here. So, you know, in the conversation in regards to Elon Musk and Trump and X, Twitter, whatever it's called, are you against Musk allowing Trump back on the platform?
That's Keith. What do you think, Keith?
Am I against? I was against it at that when he said because he was talking about the insurrection, the racial side, and so on. So I was against it then. But if people want to listen, X is a platform that people just say what they want to say,
And that's
they-
the point.
and
Exactly,
and
Miss Leisha. Sorry.
so and really and truly is that with X and Instagram and YouTube, people say what they're gonna say, and and in this country and probably around the world, freedom of speech, and a lot of people spout that freedom
And
of
that's
speech.
my point. I'm not a big fan of Trump or Musk or any of them, but the bigger picture is that we should have freedom of speech, because they keep talking about in the free world, and how we're all developed. So let people say what they've got to. Who people shouldn't be what's the word?
Censored.
There you go. People shouldn't be censored.
Well, no, you see, that could be misconstrued. Shouldn't be censored, because if someone brings up a racial word or black this or slavery that, people say, why you keep going on about it?
Yeah, but people have been doing that from the beginning of time.
Yes.
And they're not going to do it.
Yes.
Now you got 200 million people.
You know, at the end of the day, anybody can be racist, they can be homophobic, whatever they're going to be, right? People are going to be it, right? But the point is that the reason why they were censoring people so much on Twitter was because of COVID, right? It got so deep because of COVID and because of the jab, right? And that's where it stemmed from, because people were talking out about what was going on, and that's when the real censorship started, right? So we've got to look at the bigger picture here, right? If people are censored, then there's a lot of information out there that is not going to be able to come out.
And I want to add something as well to that point, right? People talk about democracy like they talk about freedom of speech, right? If people really believe in these concepts, right? Democracy, for instance, Trump's won. That would suggest that democracy actually works. We don't have to like his position, but if we say that we support these ideals, then we should also be okay with what comes with that. It's the same thing with freedom of speech. Free speech is actually agreed speech. We agree that we are going to say certain things on this platform, for instance. We ain't going to say certain things. We have an agreement. That's not necessarily free speech. But if people actually believe in free speech, then that's what it means. Otherwise, we get what we've had, which is censorship. And what does censorship connect to? Censorship connects to fascism. So all the stuff that they're saying about Trump right now is actually what they've been doing. This is fascism. You know what I mean? We don't want them to say this, and we don't want them to say that because it goes against what we believe or our worldview. And so the question is, what do people actually want? And unfortunately, fortunately, and unfortunately, depending on where you're standing, people are seeing this for what it is. They actually created this situation. They created the ground for a Trump to exist.
Yeah.
Why? Because people are fed up with all of this. You got to do this and you got to do that. And notice how what people on the left, and I don't get into the left and the right and all the rest of it, but notice how they've become dictators. They literally, like what Obama did. Obama went and to this group, whatever it is, and he met with the man them, and he basically took off his belt, and said, "Yo, oh my God, this weird, right?" The man's like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, that is a dictatorship in its true essence. You can't do that. And so we really need to be clear on when these people are saying these things and doing what they are saying, what they say and doing what they're doing, right? What does it actually mean in the grand scheme? Because right now we're talking about Twitter. Facebook is the same. They were censoring people, locking up. You couldn't say certain things. What, you want to say something about a jab in your opinion and what you think? You're crazy. We're going to lock that off. You can't.
Censored still, Facebook. And that means WhatsApp and the other one, Instagram, all censored. You're limited to it. And I think, in a sense, you're kind of right, because who has the right to tell the next man what to say or not to say? Once he said it,
like it or not.
Yeah, once he said it, there could be repercussions.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what I want to add to that is, look, Trump isn't new. As I said, Trump is a product of something which we've been watching for generations, for decades. If we want to say he's an extremist, what extremist is new? Racism is new, sexism, misogyny, none of that is new.
Nothing's new, but it is now amplified because, of course, of the platform. The platform now is the White House.
Let me just add the last thing to that. We are now paid up in Ukraine, right? Ukraine is run by Azov, right sector. These are neo-Nazis. They are
there you go.
New
Now we're
generation of Nazi. We are supporting that.
Yeah, we have to come back to that. Champs Girls, we're talking the things. We're down in on it, and we're gonna come back after this word. Open yourselves a drink. We're here again.